Welcome back. Good Friday morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us this morning, and I hope you're having a good morning. I'm Maria Bartiromo, and it is Friday, May 1st. It is 8:02 on the East Coast. The Supreme Court decision to strike down Louisiana's 2024 electoral map now fueling the redistricting debate across the country. Georgia Republicans pushing to redraw their own state's congressional maps before the midterm elections, as early voting in Georgia is already underway. Now, in Virginia, a state court allowed the blocking of the Commonwealth's new Democrat-friendly map. And in Florida, the state House and Senate approved a new congressional map that could give Republicans as many as 4 more House seats. Joining me now is KA Consulting President, Fox News contributor, and former senior counselor to President Trump, Kellyanne Conway. Kellyanne, good to see you. Thank you so much for being here. And, of course, Florida moving forward with this potentially new 4 additional GOP congressional map following the Virginia Democrats last week. What are your thoughts on this? What do you expect for this year's midterm elections in light of this redistricting effort?
Maria, our country is growing more diverse, and obviously in 1965, about 85% of our population was white. It's now less than 60%, and yet you have insistence by some of these attorneys general, the state legislators, some errant judges in our deep South, drawing these snake-like labyrinthine districts that people look at and say, how does somebody even represent somebody over here and then 400 miles over here? It doesn't make any sense to them. And so they're righting those wrongs by saying, let's have more fairly drawn districts. And I think the numbers now are on the side of the Republicans based on the Supreme Court decision, but also based on some of the moves that have been happening in our states. Virginia went way too extreme, going from 6 to 5 to 10 to 1. I think the courts will take a fair look at that and say that that's actually unfair in a state that just had a Republican governor, where President Trump performed better than most Republican candidates have. Look, I think the argument also is, what about places like Connecticut, New Mexico, Massachusetts? We've had Republican governors not that long ago in New Mexico and Massachusetts. We don't have any Republican congressional seats there. New Jersey, we have 1, 2, 3, maybe tops. And yet President Trump got 45% of the vote there. So you can argue fairness many different ways. But I like the fact that a lot of these Republican governors are moving swiftly. Ron DeSantis moved very swiftly and will pick up some seats there. That means there are going to be more competitive districts. Why is this important, Maria? Because we don't see these wave elections anymore. The 52 seats Clinton lost in the House in 1994, the 63 Obama lost in 2010, the 40 lost in 2018 by Republicans. We don't have that type of available seats anymore because of all this redistricting nonsense. And I think this will put things in greater fairness. What I don't like, especially days after our president had the 3rd assassination attempt on his life with the First Lady and others sitting right near him, I don't like the leader in the House, Hakeem Jeffries, calling the Supreme Court of the United States illegitimate, right-wing, so-called this, so-called that. We can't do that. I thought they're pro-institutionalists. I thought they love the law. And this is very dangerous for everyone, because all we're trying to do is make sure that people are more fairly represented. So we haven't heard the last of this. We've got a couple more states to go. I think some of those states like Indiana that took a pass the first time may take a fresh look at this based on some of these court decisions, Maria.
Well, this is a really important point that you make, because Hakeem Jeffries came right out, dukes up in terms of this issue, saying we're going to have to look at the Supreme Court. Jonathan Fahey, you saw that remark. Jump in here.
Yeah, it's ironic because the Democrats are so critical of anyone from the Trump administration and Republican Party criticizes the courts. They act like it's out of bounds, and yet the Democrats, obviously we know they've been doing it for years, but it just shows, you know, where the Democratic Party is. It's always sort of the most extreme on all of these issues, but I think Kellyanne's point is very good about the way these districts are going to be actually more competitive and more susceptible to bigger swings. And I'd be curious, Kellyanne, what your thought is on sort of the most important issues for Republicans in November to make sure these redistricting changes don't end up harming them in terms of number of seats.
Sure. And look, the most important issue on the table here is that the process is one thing. I'm a big fan of focusing on what I call the non-sexy parts of politics, redistricting, obviously grassroots, get out the vote programs, making sure that people know where to vote, when to vote, how to vote, meaning are you still doing it through the nonsense drop boxes? Do you do it in person early? Do you have to go? Do you do it in the mail, et cetera? And so I think that the focus of the president's team, his political team, and the RNC and other committees in these last couple of years has made a beautiful difference against a Democratic Party that has had process but not public policy advantage. We have both, we win. I'm not willing to concede the House to the Democrats. I'm not willing to give that up to people who have given us government-run health care, who just got 2 blue ribbons, first place gold medals on 2 very non-distinct achievements. First, the longest government shutdown last fall in American history, and second, the longest shutdown in the history of the DHS, which is 23 years old as a department. They're proud of this. That 1,100 TS agents just quit because they weren't getting paid, that we were starving our brave men and women at Border Patrol, at Coast Guard, at CISA, folks, CISA, C-I-S-A, that stands for Counterintelligence Infrastructure.
Right.
I mean, what are we doing, everybody? So we're not funding. So we're going to win, Jonathan and Maria, on the issues. But if we get the process pieces in place long before the debates, long before the nominations, long before the election day and early voting, that's the key here. We've got the message, we've got the messenger, we have the money, we have the moxie, but we also need the process in place.
Well, I mean, that's right. And to go back to what Hakeem Jeffries says, he says everything is on the table legislatively to deal with the Supreme Court. In the new Congress, we're going to have to do something about the Supreme Court, is what he says. And then he says, and let me be very clear, everything is on the table. What is he suggesting?
Well, he's suggesting packing the court with a bunch of left-wingers. He wants more justices. He wants to flout the Constitution. We have 9 justices for a reason. Donald Trump didn't pick the number out of thin air. He doesn't like the fact that we actually have people who don't think the Constitution is passé, is a roll of toilet paper to be disposed of. It's actually a living, breathing document as we face the 250th birthday of this country's independence. That has sustained us through many different. He wants to amend the Constitution. He's welcome to do that. He knows he doesn't have the power to do it. By the way, it's so funny to me, Maria, that the same Democratic Party that just says no constantly, shuts down the government, shuts down the DHS, won't give a single vote. Not one of the 11 Democrats who won their congressional district that Donald Trump also won in 2024 voted for the Tax Cut and Jobs Act, the one big beautiful bill, energy independence. They're not there for it. Maybe the Clarity Act, maybe the Genius Act, but they're not there for it. Why is this important? Well, when Hakeem Jeffries says that, the wrong people hear him. Brett Kavanaugh, his wife and daughters had an assassin on their block near their home because of remarks like this. It needs to cool down.
Yeah. You know, you make a really good point about the big, beautiful bill, because there were so many things in that bill that were hugely impactful for American citizens. And I'm wondering what you believe the Republicans need to do to better communicate the consequences of these changes in policies for their families. I mean, you're talking about all of the elements of the big, beautiful bill. You're talking about the president's agenda, which is centered around energy capacity and tapping into energy capacity, which has so many levers and so many impacts, from the impact on AI and powering up this new technology to national security. You're talking about ending 8 wars. He's trying to end a 9th one right now, getting control of crime and the border. What do you think of the Republicans' ability to actually communicate these successes going into the midterms, where virtually everybody believes that the House will lose the majority and they're questioning now the Senate?
Maria, if we were to lose the House, in part, that's not just because of historic trends, which everyone knows are against us. It's because it's not a failure to achieve, it's a failure to communicate those achievements. If 2025 was the year of doing hard things, 2026 must be, and it's May 1st, everybody, the year for communicating the hard things that were achieved. You just did the whole list. They've got a blueprint to win. The blueprint is that we kept our promises. Under President Trump's leadership, we are energy independent. We are taking on dictators across the globe who have held up commerce, who have been horrible on human rights, but also who are a threat to American security. When the right polling questions are asked about Iran, you put it into context that we don't want them to have nuclear capacity, and if they did, they can use it against Americans. Maria, party line vote on one big beautiful bill, 100% expensing for factories, for facilities, doubling child tax credit, largest school choice measure in American history, keeping that corporate tax rate at 21%, which allows them to invest in America. The list goes on and on. We need to communicate it and also talk about health care and housing.
I agree with that. But, Kellyanne, real quick before you go, I think it's also important to discuss what happens if, in fact, the Democrats get back in charge. Is the president's agenda stopped? Do they reverse no tax on tips? Do they reverse the border? Do they reverse all of these things that the president has done by executive order? I mean, that's what the president said to me in my interview last week.
If there's even one tiny thing, that's right. Yes. Yes. If there's even one tiny thing you like about President Trump and the Republicans' accomplishments, say goodbye to that. They will reverse it because they're going to run this country the way Biden did on spite. And spite is no way to run the world's greatest democracy coming up on our 250th birthday. By the way, they've already promised investigations, impeachments, indictments, insults. That's all. They have one gear. That's all they know how to do. They've helped not one bit, not one Democrat outside of Fetterman has helped us to pass this agenda.
I would say every committee will be turned into an investigative committee. And they will investigate the president, all of his supporters, and his family. Kellyanne, thank you. We'll be talking with you along the way. We appreciate your time this morning. Kellyanne Conway. We'll be right back. Stay with us.